Hey everybody, Nick here, and today, well, I got a disassembly video for you on this little guy right here. This is the Civivi Knives Keen Nadder. It's N-A-D-D-E-R. This guy was actually sent to me by Scout EDC. It's a small EDC shop, and they said, hey, this is a really cool model. We're selling them. Would you be interested in checking one out? It actually is kind of interesting. It looks a little different, looks a little interesting. I don't know. And so I figured, yeah, why the heck not? And, you know, I'm happy to publicize small shops where I can, especially if they do me nice things, but at the same time, I'm happy to do it even if they don't, right? Yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and check this guy out and take it apart, see what's going on. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, because it looks like the back side... Okay, yeah, I'm going to take this apart from the back. It looks like I should be able to take out this screw, and this one. Clip should stay on. Everything should pop back out, as one would expect. But we're going to go on ahead and see how that lands in the grand scheme of things. It's a little, the Keen Nadder here. It's an interesting shape in the blade. It's got a recurve to it. And, you know, recurves is something I don't generally speak and love. But at the same time, right now in a world where everything's so samey, any source of distinction, a differentiation, is sort of welcome and appealing, even if it is in a way that doesn't necessarily, you know, grab me, generally speaking. So I'm absolutely willing to sort of give it a, I don't know, about a pass. I'll talk about it as whether it's a good idea or not, whether it functionally works. But yeah, at this point in time, I'm sort of open to a whole bunch of things as long as it's not the same old that we've been seeing. I'm trying to get this guy apart. I'm thinking I might be able to leave the pocket clip in position, but I also am coming to the conclusion that no, probably not. I have to take the whole clip off because this second screw is probably useful as well. Yeah, okay, that seems to have done the trick, because... Well, here's the funny thing. I don't actually believe I need to have taken that clip off. What it does tell me is that the clip was going into here, but for some reason I was unable to get this liner off. Maybe it's just tightly pulled around all of these things, and if I'd given it a little more gronk. But you know what? Not the end of the world. Let's go ahead and just put this in. Using an iFixit here, Spudger-style tool, to pry this bit apart in the back here. There we go. We're making progress. If you're curious about this or any of the other tools I'm using, go ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools. You'll get a full set. Beautiful. There we go. And we popped apart. Nice and easy. You know, I'm going to be honest with you here. You know, Scout EDC reached out to me and just said, hey, Nick, you know, we've got this knife. We think it'd be really interesting for you to check out. All we would ask in return is a shout out for our business. And, you know, at some level, you know, at first it was like, wait, do you don't work for Civivi or anything like that? What gives? But then it occurred to me, like, actually, it would be a really smart idea, right? Like, I can see why a smaller business would, you know, find, you know, the price of I don't know how much this knife costs yet. Trying not to until I am ready to write the review. But, you know, for the small price of a knife to get a shout out here, I can see that being useful, right? And for a business, and especially, you know, right now, I'm very inclined to support small businesses. I did the small business showcase thing. I have done that previously and plan to do it again at some point when I've got the moment to. But nonetheless, you know, I can see it being a reasonable deal for them, but it's a different kind of thing, right? Is this a sponsored video? I don't know, right? It's not the manufacturer. They don't have any skin in the game. I told them, I sent them my disclaimer, right? But it's a little bit different. Now, one thing I do want to point out in the middle of my rant here is, you can see this little bit right here. I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see this better. See that little cutout at the side of the pivot there? Yeah, right there. That's important. That little bit engages with this little bit right here and maintains this in position. It maintains that this is, well, it makes this not a free spinning pivot. And so you want to make sure that as you put everything back together, that this pivot is fully flush and that little bit is put in, because if I do it wrong, not only is the C misaligned, but now this guy is sticking out, and if I later on, if it slips into proper position, the knife is going to be loose. So whenever you have those kinds of keyed pivots, you want to be very careful about it. Anyways, there's really not that much to talk about with the knife itself here. I mean, the construction is very typically Civivi. There's, I mean, honestly, little skeletization. There's not too much to say, which is fine, I think. You know, at some level, the question is not whether it's new and innovative on the inside, it's whether it's a good daily tool. But anyways, you know, back at the ranch, I feel like I should certainly disclose, and just did, and will during the review, you know, that relationship, but it's kind of a different relationship, and it's one that I think is sort of win-win, right? You know, I'm usually pretty reluctant to just take random money from small businesses, so to speak, or random donations, as it always is. I don't take money from people aside from my Patreon patrons, who still do make the channel possible. But, you know, nonetheless, it's interesting. I think, I guess I'm open to it, right? But I also don't want it to be the case that everything, you know, that my channel feels like an ad roll. But then again, I do this for, like, Lewis Jewelers, who sends me stuff to check out for the watch world. I don't know. It's just weird. You know, I've said many times before, you know, there are people who are very professional about being influencers, or whatever the heck it is that I am. But I'm just making this up as I go. I'm trying to figure out what seems right ethically, and I don't really have any beef with this. The Scout folks, it's not like they're a tarnished reputation or anything like that. I literally had never heard of them beforehand, but, you know, so far I looked briefly, and it's not like they, you know, don't seem to be doing anything wrong. So, like, hey, sure, let's support a small business and check out a new Civivi. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm curious about your thoughts on the process there. You know, and if you've dealt with Scout before, let me know how they've been. I'm sure they've been fine. But at the same time, yeah, it's interesting. It's different, and it's not a kind of interaction I ever figured I'd be having. But then again, I never figured I'd be having a YouTube channel. So, you know, here we are, right? Okay, let's go on ahead and put that is a YouTube channel that anybody watches. Like, I knew I had one when I started one, but I didn't figure it was going to be a thing, right? But okay, what we've done here is put everything back together. I've over-lubricated the detent ball hole. That's a little excessive even by my standards. And now we're going to go on ahead and put everything back together here. I'm going to start off by dropping on this liner. And I'm going to lift the lock bar here just to get everything a little more ready to align. There we go. That's popped in position. Beautiful. Okay, next up, I'm going to drop this G10 into position. That should let me place the clip into position. We see here that the screws on the clip are two different sizes. It's not a problem. It's just something you need to do right. And that makes sense. This one's going all the way through into this cylinder. This one's just going to the liner. But okay, let's pop this through. You know, the other thing is, you know, at some level, I welcome this kind of an interaction because this put a knife on my radar that, you know, people who own knife shops, by and large, are in it for passion, right? And more importantly, you know, they handle a lot of knives. And so, you know, not that a random jackass's opinion off the street doesn't mean anything to me, but it often, you know, if somebody says this is a really good model, this is something that's interesting, you know, oftentimes it means a little bit more coming from somebody who handles knives all day, every day, rather than from somebody who just, you know, got their first knife or something like that. I mean, both, you're welcome to have opinions, but, you know, so when somebody flags a model like this, it's like, okay, interesting. So anyways, I don't know. It's one of those things that I never figured was going to be a factor. But at some level, you know, like I said, it feels fine. It feels win-win to me. And if a small business in, I guess, Orlando can get a little bit of extra exposure out of that, and, you know, you all get another knife review to look at, which you're seeing for free, unless you're a Patreon patron, in which case you're paying money because you're a wonderful person and watching it for free, then, you know, hey, no complaints. Okay, my pivot is not all the way out here. What I see here, not all the way in, that is. This is sticking out more than it should be. What that means is I'm going to need to, hopefully when I tighten this, it's just going to snug into place. But I need to be mindful of that. Yeah, see, it's snugging down. As I tighten that up, that's going to be too tight for the pivot itself, but at the same time, okay. Oh, no, that's actually loose. Let's go ahead and tighten that right back up. And there we go. Beautiful. All right. That's excellent. That's really, really excellent. And everything seems to be running great. No play. Straightforward. Yeah, all right, we're good to go. So there you go. There's your Civivi Keen Nadder. Hope this has been interesting to you. Feel free to sound off in the comments. Like I said, I'm still genuinely trying to figure out the best ways to negotiate things in terms of, you know, how to handle having an actual channel that people watch. But most importantly, you know, hope you found this interesting. And if you got one of these guys, that's how to take it apart. Have yourself an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.